Hey guys, Andrew here with TCGU University. We're going to be talking about Project Diva today. We're looking at a Soundless voice deck from the game Weiss Schwarz. Let's get started. Alright, so with the Project Diva deck, your bread and butter, if you're building Soundless voice, is going to be your Kagami Rin and your Kagami Len. This card, the Rin in particular, says when you play your Soundless voice combo, which is this climax right here, when you play the Soundless Voice combo, you can send this card from your board to memory, and then you bring out a Len from your deck. And the reason why this is significant is because Len over here, while it is a 5/5 power, the Climax combo brings it up to a 6/5. Having your Rin in your memory says it gains an additional 2,000, and if you played your Soundless Voice this turn and Rin is in your memory, it gains an additional 3,000 power until the end of your opponent's turn. So it goes through your turn, stays a 10/5 until your opponent is done with their turn. And ideally, we want to play Soundless Voice over and over and over to just dominate the board. So with that, we're going to bring out our other Climax combo because it plays right into what we're wanting to do, which is just repeat Soundless Voice. And really, it's Cantarella Grace Edition. With this card, you're looking to literally play this for the gate symbol so you can grab your Soundless Voice. Going from Soundless Voice, we have a lot of pieces to keep these cards alive because that's what you want to do. You don't want to see any cards that can kill them from reverses. And from that, part of what we want to do is repeat playing Soundless Voice. So with Soundless Voice, we are going to be playing Hatsune Miku V3. It does say that it gives frontal X power. X is equal to 500 times the card's level. From doing that, it also says, on play, pay 1, ditch a Climax card from your hand to the waiting room, and pick up another Soundless Voice. So from that, you're already starting to see the loop with your Soundless Voice combo. On top of that, with staying power, you have two cards that are going to be key, and one of them is this 1/0 Miku. What it does is it says the two cards in front of this card get plus 500 power and a level. Additionally, it has rest this card and rest another card, preferably in your back row, or honestly, you can do it with this Rin because when the Rin leaves the board, goes to memory, and brings out your Len, the Len comes in standing regardless if your Rin is rested. So that's something to keep in mind. So you can rest this card and rest your Rin to look at the top card of your deck and choose if you want to put it on top or bottom. And with this Kato White Blazer, this is a very special card which few sets have. It's a 0/0 backup that gives 1,000 power, but additionally it gives a level. So you can say if someone's lining up a Suicider to your Len, you can say this is a level 2 instead. One thing you do have to keep in mind with those cards is that you have to look out for anti-changes, because if you see an anti-change where someone's saying, hey, you can't play that card because it's a higher level than the level that you're currently at, that means that they can just bounce it from your board. So you do have to be very, very mindful of those cards. On top of that, you have Kagami Len Bad Boy. This card's really great because if someone does get something by and you don't have your tools in hand, this card says, when this card goes to waiting room, I'm still going to save it by sacking this card from, preferably my back row, to the waiting room. And it also says on your opponent's turn, I'm giving 500 power to everything on my board, which only makes your wall more indomitable. And then going into our tech with the Kato White Blazer that we're playing, we have Hatsune Miku White Dress, and we also have Hatsune Miku Magician. These two cards go hand in hand in the back row if you're not up against anything that's going to be threatening your Lens by making your Lens essentially level 3s that you can play at level 1 because it's that strong. The White Dress Hatsune Miku says I'm going to give 500 to all my cards, and that's a continuous ability. On top of that, when you play something that has an act ability, which is any Brainstormer or backup card, it gives an additional 500. And that same ability is on the Hatsune Miku Magician, making this backup potentially a 2,000 power change in your favor. And then on top of that, you also have the brainstorm effect. It's like they built this set for a reason. But with the brainstorm ability, you can rest these two, and then you can go through the top 4 cards of your deck and search for something. It might not be a self-tap, but with the Magician, that's another thing to keep in mind. You can rest your Rin and you can rest your Magician to get a free brainstorm, and then when your Len comes out, again, it comes out standing. So those are all things to keep in mind when you're playing a Diva deck, because you have tools that make it so you can essentially do actions for free, and you can over-rest cards that aren't going to be on the board. To help us get there, we have our Brainstormer, of course, but we also have a Salvage, and we have a Search. Miko Longferrio says, when I play this card, I can pay 1, ditch 1, and I can salvage a card. And then you also have Hatsune Miku School, which says, on play, I can pay 1, ditch 1, search 1 from my deck. So this gives us the ability to not only search our waiting room if we need a Rin or a Len for Soundless Voice, but it also gives us the ability to search our deck. Going into that, this deck does lack on having some things, but it does have one of the most important cards, in my opinion, which is going to be your Kagami Len White Edge. He says, when I play this card, it's a backup for 2,500 for a cost of 1. So you're already getting quite a bit of power. And again, with your white dress and with your Hatsune Miku Magician, it says it can potentially be a 3/5. But on top of that, you can pay 2 and then, or you can pay 2 on top of your 1 cost already, making it a 2/3. And you can shuffle your waiting room into your deck, giving yourself a free fresh and saving a damage. Going from that, we're going to be going into our level 3 game, starting off with a Clock Kick, which essentially says when this card reverses my opponent, you send that card that it just reversed to the opponent's clock, essentially securing a damage that is undeniable to you, because as long as you're getting that reverse, you're making them take a damage. The second ability on this card is a Climax combo, and we don't have the room to play it because we would rather see our Soundless Voice combo over that effect. And then with this Hatsune Miku, essentially what we're wanting to do is we are wanting to create some sort of value that we can get from our level 3s. This Hatsune Miku says that when you have 2 or less climaxes in your waiting room, you can early play this card, and then additionally, if you have 3 or more other music characters, which every character in the deck is music, it gains 1,000 power on the board, and that's a static ability. And then the last thing that it does, and the reason that we play it, is on play, you draw 2 cards. You then have to ditch 2 cards, and you can put the top card of your deck to your stock, which makes it so you can play this on 3 stock and then get one of these out. Essentially just giving you the best of both worlds on short stock. Going from that, we have Hatsune Miku Electron Diva, and what she does is it's just your old standard 500 for every other music character you have on the board. Again, everything's music, so it's already going to be up 2,000 if you have a full board. And then it also on play heals, so you take the top card of your clock and put it into your waiting room. And then the last pieces that we have in the deck are going to be things that give us the ability to at least have a presence on the board, either early game or towards your late game. What these cards do is your Len is saying something that essentially if you have 2 or less cards in your stock, this card gets 1,000 power and a level. So this card says, I'm going to live against Suiciders, but it also helps with your yellow count, because as you might have noticed, there's very few yellow cards in this deck, and your combo that you're wanting to get out is yellow. So those are the things to keep in mind. With the next one, we have Hatsune Miku Solitude. This card says when it's the only character on board, it gets a level and 1,000 power. With those 2 effects, again, it's saying no to any sort of Suiciders level 0, but it's also saying that you're going to have a body on board, so you can continuously get those attacks in, and it's sitting at a 3/5, so it's hard to get over, just as the Len was that we just looked at. The next card is the Hatsune Miku Divine Goddess. what she does is she gives you the ability to rest 2 cards and then pump a character 2,000 power. Again, that's something that you can do with your Rin. By tapping 2, you're going to give that 2,000 power, and then you get to bring out your Len for essentially free because this card goes to memory, and then you get it standing. And the last card here is going to be another Hatsune Miku. And essentially all this is another piece that gives you access to a large body on board at level 2. What it does is whenever another character attacks, it gains 1,000 power. So this card, essentially you want to attack with third. You swing once, swing twice, and then you swing with this card at a 10,000 power. Well, guys, that's been Soundless Voice for Project Diva. I'd say it's definitely a deck worth giving a shot. I do really enjoy it. I've been playing this deck since it came out. It's one of those decks where if you're a new player, it's definitely something to pick up because it's a very easy deck to learn to pilot. It's a hard deck to master. So I think it's a deck that anyone can really take and make it their own. There are quite a few different changes that you can do. But with that, I appreciate you guys for checking out the video. If you could, send us a like, share, subscribe with your friends. And then from there, you could also visit us on Patreon/TCGU University if you want any further content. And with that, I've been Andrew. This has been TCGU University. Have a great rest of your day.